Welcome back, y'all. We're going to talk about business when it comes down to people rushing their calling, okay? Rushing their skill set to get to the next level, okay? So we're going to be talking about Brandon Dillard.
He had more than 157,000 followers on Instagram, but this new indictment charges him with 113 different charges, including RICO, 51 counts of theft by deception, and 21 counts of battery.
Last fall, we watched Brandon Dillard appear from jail before a judge. The expensive smile from his popular social media pages gone in his mugshot. Dillard called himself Atlanta's top veneer specialist, but Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis calls him a dangerous criminal.
This is an illegitimate operation. The problem is the consequences are to one's health.
And just to set it up for you guys, so just imagine you're in the dental office, okay, you're getting your teeth done, you're trying to get your veneers, and you see this special that's going on online saying that you get sort of saved on money to get your teeth fixed.
And what up, everybody? As y'all know, I'm Princess, the owner of Princess Cuts. I am currently in Mississippi, Biloxi with Mrs.
Soraya Perry.
Yes, she just got her teeth done. Me and my crew are currently on tour and are running a special. We're doing 10 top teeth and 10 bottom teeth for $1,500.
Okay, does it sound like a scam? Well, it is a scam, okay? So we're going to talk about Brandon Dillard, of how he got to his situation, the whole career involving veneer techs, okay? How much of a scam it is, how people are still being fooled, okay? One thing about JL, I saw online that people were still questioning, saying, oh, wow, but if it looks good, then, it may be worth it. We're going to go into the whole detail about how veneers, these little, like I said, chiclet teeth, the fake versions of it. The fake versions of it can have your mouth messed up when you get it done by a veneer tech, okay? We're going to talk about Brandon, his case, okay? And we're going to talk about how things can be a positive direction if you take the right procedures when it comes down to career advancement and understanding, different aspects in a career journey that you're looking to go into.
Exactly. Let's get right into what a veneer tech is. What is it?
I
can't really know because it's not real. It's it's made up. It's a made up term. You don't get a degree and trying to be a veneer tech. It's not a real occupation. It's something that he made up, a veneer tech specialist. People that put actual veneers on people are actually dentists. You have to actually be a dentist and you have to be certified in order to even be able to put veneers on people. So you just can't call yourself a veneer tech and just become one. You know what I'm saying? You actually have to be a dentist because there are certain ways that veneers are put on to actual teeth. You have to shave them down a certain way. And you have to place them on the shaven down teeth a certain way. You have to be literally trained in that.
7-8 years worth of training.
Right.
I went to UCLA for dental school, which is a 4-year accredited program. And during that time, you're pretty much either learning about dentistry or practicing dentistry 24/7 for 4 entire years. I know that might seem crazy, but you literally have that much to learn. There is no way on earth that you can learn everything that you need to know about veneers in 2 days. I feel so bad for the people who are being misinformed and lied to and being treated by these veneer techs.
Exactly. You just can't come off the street and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to be a veneer tech. It seems easy enough. I'm just going to glue teeth on some top of some other teeth, and that's just going to be it. But that's basically what he did. And I think after, I kind of want to say around 2020, it was kind of like the veneers kind of blew up. Veneers have been out. You know what I'm saying? People have been getting veneers, but I think the trend of it kind of blew up around that era and around that time. And I think people were initially impressed by it because he used his social media status, his Instagram or whatever, to kind of really impress people with what he was doing. He started off as like a trainer initially, and then he built up his following on social media, and then his status kind of blew up. When you go on somebody's Instagram profile and you see, oh, they got a lot of followers, they must be good at what they do. But
it's the trappings too. The trappings too. I know he had online where I think this was for two weeks before he got into the whole being arrested procedures. Okay, in regards to being a veneer tech, he had his bags. Okay, his merces, his purses.
Y'all hoes be popping out with Chanel bags, but we never see you in the store. We never see you with the champagne. We might not even get to see an unboxing. Mind you, y'all hoes will be like, come with me to get my nails done. Come with me to do a Sephora haul. But that Chanel bag, you didn't say come with me to get a Chanel bag? That bag is fake news. Stop the cat. Sorry, but
Okay, all the line. Okay, you saw the Chanel and everything else.
Chanel store, I mean, showing out.
Yeah,
Hey, he was like, listen, I got the money. I'm getting the real Chanel. I'm going in the real store. I'm really doing this.
Atlanta stunning. Okay, Atlanta stunning at its finest.
Exactly.
You know,
you were scamming. Let's just keep it real. You were performing these procedures on people with no type of like background education really on dentistry. You weren't trained in it. You don't have anything going on regarding that. But he was charging what, $3,000?
I want to say between $3,000 and $5,000, depending on who he was dealing with. I think it was the bigger range with that. And it's wild because when you look at it, JL, you're seeing how he was in this fantasy, and a lot of people were in the same fantasy too, you know. And I think with things like the beauty industry, it could get really warped in fantasy land. And when people are trying to save money, they still want to keep up a certain aesthetic, or they want an aesthetic. They start cutting corners.
I always tell anybody, if you know how to do nails, you can do teeth. You can do veneers. It is literally, you're just doing the shape, putting it on there, using the light, boom, they're done. Like, if you could just focus and make it the right shape that you want, you can do it.
And he was there for where the need was, okay, because people were really adamant as far as trying these veneers, okay, and they, a lot of times on his reviews, they were saying, okay, some people said it was great, okay, some people said they ran into difficulties, but the wicked thing about it is, so even with real veneers, you're going to run into some difficulties like chipping and all the rest, but when a dentist does it, okay, they're not going to put these, porcelain nail fillers, okay, let's just call it for what it is, nail fillers on your mouth, okay? They're going to make sure they do the x-rays. They're going to check to see if everything is, healthy with your mouth. It's a procedure that they go through before.
They got to check for a lot of stuff. Cavities, yes. Do, what type of, how is your bone structure? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Before they do any shaving.
See certain people get these big veneers, they look like grand pianos in somebody's mouth. Because and even them, they could have went to an actual dentist and got it done, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna look good.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
But you have to, there's a certain way to put veneers on people. They have to look a certain way. Everybody's mouth is shaped differently. Everybody's teeth is shaped differently.
Mm-hmm.
A dentist is going to take that into consideration. They're not just going to be like, okay, well, let me just plop this veneer on your tooth.
Right.
We just gonna go on about our day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's just interesting to me that he kind of got away with it as long as he did.
Yeah.
But I think at first people were initially impressed by it because some of his work did look pretty okay.
Legit. Mm-hmm.
They looked legit at first. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, okay, this is, he got a lot of followers, and now he got, the work looks good, he can back it up. The issue became when his clients went to actual dentists, and they were checking the mouths, and they were checking the teeth, and they were like, wait a minute.
Your teeth about to fall out.
Last year, Christy Brown told me she paid Dillard $3,000 for veneers her dentist immediately noticed problems with at a cleaning.
Like the way it was put on, he just kept asking, who did this? Who, you need to be careful. Did he have a dentist certificate? And I was like, no, I don't remember seeing any of that. I should have known.
Gone. You don't have nothing in your mouth. Your enamel's messed up, and they were looking at that. So that's when it became a problem. And he had that heat, like JL said, when it was this goes beyond the aesthetic. And I think people get stuck on the aesthetic, okay? You got this false, especially when your body is dealing with a foreign object, okay? If we're not used to that foreign object, we're going to reject it, okay? When we have bacteria in our mouth cavities, could be, like I said, some, later on dental issues that you may find yourself facing, okay? That could cause a major issue when it comes down to, retaining that veneer, meaning that it could fall out easily, it could chip easily if you don't have your enamel right either. You know, it could be detrimental for you on that avenue as well. So
Exactly.
that's where he was running into the major difficulties. And I'm going to add something else into that too, JL. He was running into difficulties as well with training individuals. When it came down to training individuals, okay, now you telling someone, hey, you can do like, the same type of, procedure that I can do, and it's going to take you, okay, maybe a year or two. I know they had one site, now I was looking into this topic, they said that they were training people, it took them 48 hours to learn how to do this skill, and then they were training on real people at that. So
That's crazy.
You got people up in there.
Like the turnover rate to really think that you can do something like as intricate as that in 48 hours. 48 hours is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. But I think that's kind of, again, where we're going back to fast success. That narrative of you can make this money real quick. You can learn this in 2 days and you can start making X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
When we get into, people that have that fast track mentality, and they feel like, okay, I need to make money quick, so let me just go ahead and learn how to do this. And they think that that's going to be successful down the line. The people don't really think about what happens down the line.
No.
They're just thinking about the right now.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, like I said, when he was flashy with it. He was all over social media, TikTok, Instagram. He's like, I made it. Look at the Chanel I got. Look at my car. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you have the social media following, but you don't have any operational transparency about what's really going on with your business.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's where people get caught up. You have to watch that. You can't get caught up in just what everything looks like on social media does not mean that it's actually legit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's one of his main problems. But I think if we're going to talk about the felony counts and the counts that he has against him, he has 100 counts.
Woo.
100.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not looking too good. They didn't hit him with a RICO, man. Like,
look, and I know for that, like I said, now you dealing with people, like I said, and all the rest of these allegations here, you know that if that's bad, when you got more charges and stuff, okay, than they do. Because I know that was the major thing now. They hit him really hard with some of these charges. And I believe that he even has like a battery charge against them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because so with the charges, he has a few charges, but he has a lot of counts because of the many clients that he performed the procedures on. That's why he has so many counts. So he has a battery charge because basically they were basically saying like, okay, well, you performed this procedure basically unlawfully. He has a few charges. He has a RICO charge, battery charge, obviously fraud and all that stuff. But, going back to the battery, I mean, he basically was unlawfully performing this procedure, in people's mouths. And so they gave him a battery charge. They gave him a RICO charge because they were saying, well, this is an organized crime because you have an organization and you're unlawfully performing these procedures. So they gave him a RICO. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just fraud. It's not just, oh, you took these people money, unlawfully. They gave him other stuff too. But he has all those counts, not because of the charges themselves, but because of how many times he's performed this on different people. That's why he has so many, counts of that. Yep. And so it's really going to depend on the jury and the judge, how many years that he's going to actually get.
I also want to touch on this, JL. Like, you got people who are really stuck on trying to rush their path. Like you said before, like buying the clothing, had trap music going on in the background, while you're shopping, all the, these, of course, like I said, it's showing that quick level wealth, it's showing that new money, type of wealth. And let's just touch on that a little bit. Like, I believe that, when it comes down to like really embarking on your goals, you have to have the mindset that you can't rush the game, okay? When you wind up rushing things in your pathway, okay, you run into situations where you think, hey, I'm going to get some money. You can't just approach it from a financial lack perspective where you're like, okay, all my mindset is geared towards this money, okay? I'm not focused on someone else's well-being. And I'm just focused on, getting myself out of, situations or just trying to boost your account. You could have made great money, okay, if you did the process right. Because if you up there filing and doing all this stuff, on your page. Now, mind you, like I said, not everybody had good reviews. There were some people that had some good reviews. With that being said, if you would have did the right way, you would have never ran into that situation. And that's, what brother, needs to really understand in this, this whole process. And people who are looking to get into the dental field, you got to go about the right direction. You can't go about fast money ways, because fast money has a way to burn you in time, and that's just something that
as we see,
yeah,
it caught up to him. It took a little minute,
yeah,
but it caught up to him, unfortunately. But like you said, when you're looking for everything to be quick, success to be quick, then, and if you're not going about it the right way, then you're going to eventually crash and burn.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, obviously he's got some talent. So obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like if he would have went about it the right way, went to school, went to dentistry school, got everything he needed to do, it would have took him longer. Yeah, it would have took him longer, but he wouldn't be in the position that he's in now.
Right.
The man made what? They said around $4 million something
a year
off of this fraud
business
that he
right. And it's like, with that being said,
veneer tech.
Yeah, being a veneer tech, like and it's so wild, because when you look online, and this was previously before I know, like he had his own statements, and it was another veneer tech that was speaking as well, that was saying, like, I'm not a dentist. Okay, look, you sign a clause, you sign a waiver, okay?
Does the certificate make this a legal service to perform, though, with no license? Yes, because it's not required to have an actual license, because I'm not a dentist. It's the difference for being a dentist and being a technician. That's like a lash tech. You understand what I'm saying? So once the client signs the form, out of their own consent, it's 2 separate forms that they sign. Then, I'll answer the questions after I'm done speaking, so I don't keep getting thrown off. Okay, boom. I also let them know, after you sign your forms, another thing, I don't take anyone's money. I don't care how much it is. I don't care who they are. I don't care if you're my homegirl when you come in to get service. I treat everybody as such in a professional manner.
Okay? So if anything happens, it's on you, basically. But like she's like, well, I'm telling you I'm not a dentist. Well, sweetheart, it's still fraud. Okay? That means it's still, you committed a crime. You cannot do dental work without having the education to back it up, and that's what, the delusion. Yeah.
So even you saying that, doesn't absolve you
not at
from
all
legal trouble.
Right.
You can have them write whatever you want to write. You're still, what you're doing is still fraudulent.
Exactly.
So you writing out and having them sign and say, oh, well, X, Y, and Z. Well, that doesn't really matter, because you're not supposed to be doing this in the first place.
Exactly.
So, I think a lot of people, when they really don't understand what they're doing, they can get caught up in, oh, well, let me make sure that you sign this so that I'm not going to be legally liable. Oh, you're still liable because you're not supposed to be doing this at all. And I think, I don't know if he did that. I don't know if he had people sign, or I don't know, but
I know it's common, but I'm not sure if he did that though. Because I know it's wild, because, you got these scammers that's out here now. It's like, oh, well, now I'm going to back myself up in the legal system and still don't know nothing. It's just,
don't know nothing.
It's like, if she had the whole, professional voice going on, like, well, I was trying to work with my client here, and I'm trying to do A, B, C. I'm like, baby, you committed crimes. Okay, you sound like a well-versed thug trying to get away with something, and it's still it's bad, but vanity can really have people sort of just push things they should never even go into the direction with, all for aesthetic reasons. And the major thing, even with the person that's doing the procedure, you're trying to push something for yourself. You're trying to push an aesthetic for yourself, and that's just when you're coming into situations and you're just focused on not the proper growth process. You're looking to just sort of get out of that lab mentality. Like I said early on, you find yourself being pushed in wrong directions, and you find yourself putting yourself in situations where it could lead to, being behind bars. Like I said, losing all that money that you built for is now gone. Okay, you got legal cases that's probably going to happen with that, especially when you're dealing with fraud.
That money that he had is going to go to mainly attorney's fees.
Exactly.
He better get to selling them Chanel purses.
I mean, it had it going on. He had on the camera, and and that's the thing though. When you see the pride, when it comes down to it, business moves should be done in a way you keep your moves to yourself. When you move in a certain industry, when you move, especially in a money making industry, not talking about fraud, y'all. I'm talking about real money.
Right, real
legal money that you're trying to make. Okay, when you talk about fraud, you still have to move quietly. Okay, because you're dealing with a whole different. That's what I'm saying. When you're not used to anything, and it shows when you're not used to something because you're just doing all that, like, the little grimy procedures, or like, not only that, you're just showing people that you're just like in this whole, like, well, look at me do this, well, if you don't have this, then you're not, a real person that's really on one, that's on to the next level.
You ain't making no real money.
You ain't making no moves.
That's what you call show money.
Show money.
Saying, like, that's you're buying stuff, and you're buying designer stuff, and you're buying cars and stuff, and you're showing it on social media. Like, hey, this is what I got. Look at what I've been doing, and X, Y, and Z, and people feel like, okay, if you don't see it, then you're not getting to it. Mm-hmm. Like, if you don't see them showing that they got this and they don't have it, mm-hmm. and that's one of the reasons why he probably got caught up too. You're in a situation where you're a veneer tech, and you have all this, you have all these followers, and now you're showing your followers all this money that you're making and all this stuff. Yeah. And then on top of that, you are training other people to be a veneer tech specialist.
To be a con artist.
To be a con. You're already conning, and you're conning everybody. You're conning the clients. Yeah. You're conning the people that you're training. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a bad look overall and all around. It's just not a good look. And so that's one thing that may kind of get him caught up when it comes to his case. Mm-hmm. Because it's one thing to say, okay, I made a mistake. I did this. This was all on me. I didn't get anybody involved. Mm-hmm. But you knowingly were training people for 48 hours.
For 48 hours. Like, I'm not sure his time per se, but I know that there was another Atlanta dentist that was doing this as well. He was training people for 48 hours.
Wait, an actual dentist?
I'm sorry, veneer tech. I'm sorry. Okay, sorry, dentists out there. I know some dentists probably rolling like, actually, no, they were not dentists. They were veneer techs. Sorry, don't come for me. Don't come for me. But listen, yeah, some veneer tech got me together real quick. Say, wait a minute. Right. Didn't we just say he was a veneer tech? Now we calling him a dent? I can hear y'all now. I ain't trying to go there with y'all. No, not at all. The veneer techs in Atlanta, it was another case that they had. One guy was, training people for 48 hours. I think his process was about a year to 2 years, but for a dentist, that's like a 7 to 8 years worth of training and experience that you're going through. Not 2 years is even crazy to go through that process,
Yeah, that's a very long. It takes a very long time for dentistry. It's not an easy process. It's not a quick process at all. Mm-hmm. So even 1 to 2 years is still not enough training on something that's not even a real thing. That doesn't exist.
I'm telling you. But I'm going into this too as well. We looking at the fraud perspective, but I know there was a lot of major things like, with regular veneers. Veneers are expensive. And I'm talking about the regular veneers. And a lot of times when people were getting them done, they ran into a lot of problems too. So with that being known, and this is what I'm saying, like, because social media, it connects everybody, so you should learn from stories too, especially if someone's doing, wisdom about a subject that you're looking to have for yourself. Make sure that you hear the pros and also the cons, okay? And going back to even to the procedure that's being done the right way, people walk away with problems, okay? There's a lot of chipping. One guy said that he was chewing gum on his veneers, okay? While he was chewing, it chipped his tooth.
Basically, story time. Yesterday, I was at the gym and I was chewing on bubblegum. Yeah, it's just regular bubblegum, right? Right here is the bubblegum. And my, not my canine, but the one right next to it, right behind it, veneer popped off. It happens sometimes when you have, teeth like that. And so I schedule a dentist appointment immediately, obviously. And I come in here and she goes, yeah, let me just, check the tooth, make sure it's good, and I'll just cement it right back in. I'm like, all right, cool. I got a bill for $450. It was $350 for her to, cement the tooth back in. Took 10 minutes after the numbing. And $100 for her to evaluate the tooth, meaning she picked it up out of the thing, looked at it, make sure it wasn't cracked, just to put it in my mouth. I think I'm going to retire from, TV, football, boxing, all that stuff, and just be a dentist full time, because that's where the money at, because they just got a bag. That's crazy.
Okay. Some people experience a lot of pain and a lot of things from that, from the filing. It wasn't really done in a way that, made their healing process at ease. Okay.
I look crazy and it's so embarrassing to come crying on the internet. But the stuff that I have been dealing with for 2 years, because of my freaking teeth, is like, I don't even know what to do anymore. And like, the only place I can really go to is my platforms. As everybody pretty much knows, 2 years ago, I had dental work done at Smile Dental Center 32 in Miami, and it ruined my life. Like, literally ruined my life. And I'm still dealing with it to this day. And I just left another doctor, another TMJ doctor. This is the 3rd or 4th one that I've gone to. And I'm just very overwhelmed. Like, the medical industry, the dental industry in America is like, they literally do not care about what you are going through. Like, everything is about money for them. And like, I understand, like, people have to get paid, but it's like, the fact that like I can't do anything. Like, I can't use insurance. I can't do anything. I've already spent $80,000 pretty much on this whole situation in 2 years. And I go to another TMJ doctor because I have severe TMJ now because of the veneers that Smile Dental Center did. They lost my bite. I have severe TMJ. I got my teeth redone. It didn't fix it. That was another $30,000.
So with the amount of risk that it has, just for the aesthetic alone, you know, you're trying to, you know, get this done in a quick and an easy type of way where it takes a lot of money to keep this, you know, up and going. Okay, veneers is not like, you know, yeah. It's potentially, they say you're good for around from what 5 to 15 years, but that's like a real, if you really are doing your due diligence to make sure your mouth is good, meaning like you're really on top of your dental appointments, and God forbid you may have, you know, genetic changes that's in your mouth naturally, okay, that may sort of skew your visit a little bit, just depending on what you're going through during the year, you know. And like I said, we don't want to add in sugar, smoking, and drinking, you know, that can mess your mouth up naturally, you know. So you got these like
mess your enamel up.
Okay, you got these Jesus teeth.
A lot of people don't realize that your teeth are connected to your nerves in your mouth. So that's when you have a bad toothache.
Yeah,
that's your nerves telling your brain something's wrong here. We got to get this. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So your teeth are very important. It's actually connected to heart. Your heart as well, like heart disease. It's connected to, you know, your mouth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people don't realize how important your dentistry is in general, and your teeth and your mouth is in general, that they're literally connected to nerves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why tooth pain is one of the worst pains you can ever deal with. Literally, it's connected to your nerve.
Y'all don't know, JL called me about a toothache a year ago, y'all. I'm going to say that story. He was like, bruh.
I was in pain. That was one of the worst in my life.
Okay.
I was like, I wanted to just take a hammer and take like my own tooth out. That's how bad the pain was.
He was like, I need my appointment. She ain't picking up. They ain't picking up. Where they at? Are they closed? Are they closed? I think
because a lot of dentist offices are closed on like Fridays or something like that.
Yeah.
Like people that were open, and I was like, I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Like, I'm struggling. I got to get this tooth fit. I got to get something's got to give.
Right.
You know, that pain is almost literally unbearable.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people, you can get sepsis and sepsis and die if you don't get your you know, the tooth either taken out or filled or something. Like, it's not a game. It's not to be played with at all.
Right.
And so that's why I'm kind of like even shocked at the people that went to him, because I'm like, y'all didn't do your research, no background check. Y'all didn't look at the walls and see any license.
You know what they saw? They saw the aesthetic. They saw the visuals. So with people, it's bad, but like, you know, especially on time with social media being the way it is, people don't look at the research where it's like the long-term effect of the consequences, okay? They look at the short term where it's like, I see the visual, I see white teeth, I see that it looks what I want, so-and-so on social media, so-and-so, a celebrity has this, it looks just like hers, I want that. And there you go. And that's what people get into the delusion. Look, listen, it had me looking at the comment section, and people were like, well, how did the teeth look, though? This is 2025. People were saying, how did teeth look, though? Okay, yeah, that's all good.
If he did a good job,
right?
What's the problem?
They were not the factual stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna lie. Listen, when I first saw it, my first, cause I didn't know the background, y'all. Don't come for me once again. I didn't know the background of it. You know, I didn't know how far it was. I knew not to do the procedure. I was wise enough not to do that. But I didn't know the background because when I first saw it, I said, but dang, how the teeth look though? But then when I went into the research because that's what we all need to do. That's what we all have to do before you're looking at things on social media. You got to be responsible, right? And you got to look and see it. Oh, wait a minute now. They saying that, no, that this is, you know, you go to the dentist, your dentist is going to say, your teeth is falling out by the grooves. They about to fall out, you know, or, you know, your enamel's super weak and what they have on your tooth is a foreign object. We look at the aesthetic and then, you know, looking at that aesthetic can mess us up, you know, with making the improper decision. But, you know, and I think that's just sometimes social media can be like the wild, wild west in certain things. You know, like I said, for 5 years, so he was practicing this for 5 years and no one, and that's what I'm saying, no one would have their mindset like, you know what, wait a minute, let's shut this down. It was more like, you know, hey, okay, now he training people. Oh, it's serious now, y'all. He training people out here to do this whole, like, you know, procedure. Now we have the problem. But it's been a problem. He had some reviews that were on there where people were, like, you know, struggling with their, you know, the cost of their dental work, you know, after it was done because it was too much. Right. It was too much.
Right. And I think that's again, going back to, like, what may happen, you know, when the case is going and goes to trial and everything, that may be an issue. Not only did they have to pay you thousands of dollars to get this procedure done, but then they have to pay double that, maybe triple that to correct everything that you did. Yeah. Now we have to take corrective measures because you messed my mouth up. Right. I done went to you and I done got these chiclet teeth.
Chiclet Jesus teeth, like but I see somebody smile with them. I'm like, okay, you got the holy smile, like, you know, when they had cartoons and it was like that little spark at the end.
Yeah.
Yo!
And I'm like,
it's almost like it doesn't really fit the mouth. It
yes.
never really fits the mouth how it's supposed to. Now I'm not gonna lie, some of his work did look decent.
When I didn't know about it, I was like, oh, he did it.
It don't look bad, but then you don't know what's going on in that person's actual mouth.
Yes. And you know what the crazy part about it is? A couple people that were comparing him to the guy who was winning legal cases. He didn't have his law degree. Okay. And so a lot of people who don't really know about the teeth that can mess your mouth, but they were like, well, he was winning cases, so he probably doing great teeth. So, like, why we up here?
That's really irritating.
You know what I'm saying? You
can represent yourself pro se, so that's not illegal to represent yourself.
Yeah.
You can do that and win.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that.
But remember, he was representing other people, so it was like a whole big thing. Right. Yeah, not himself. He was representing other people and winning cases, nonetheless, however, against the law. So people were saying this, they were running with the whole thing with the veneers, what Albo was doing, and they were saying, like, oh, well, you know, if he had the lawyer winning cases, surely we got a great dentist that can do a great mouth. Look at these pictures. And I'm like, y'all don't realize the visual. That's how it got a lot of people fooled, because people are still in the mindset where they're still, some people are very full. Some people who do research and they listen and they see, I ain't going to your mama basement to put fake teeth in my mouth. I'm not going to, your boyfriend's house, okay, and get my mouth done, okay?
For a little discount.
You know what I'm saying? They get a little chair for Amazon, and and I'm looking at the glue and the binding, and you probably put in super glue, which I think some people were. Now I'm not sure what his clientele who was learning from him was doing, but I know I saw some veneer tests that were putting like real glue in someone's mouth, okay?
So we get to her office. She began to try to drill these things off my teeth. She like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. They stuck on your mouth. So she drilling, and I'm pulling them. She never numbed me up. I'm pulling these things, like, get these things out my mouth. It took her an hour. She drilled these things for an hour. Finally, she say, before that happened, let me back up. Before that happened, she say, you might have to go to the ER because I think I'm going to pull your real teeth out if I keep pulling them like that. I told her, one point my sister said, stop pulling the teeth because you're going to pull your real teeth out. At that point, I was in so much pain. I was like, I don't care. I screamed. I'm over it. When she did that, I said, let me stand up and see if I can pull it myself out. Let me try to pull it out myself. So she got this little mirror in a sink in her office. So I stand up over the sink. I'm like, let me try to do it myself. Because sometimes you can put pain on yourself better than somebody else can. I say, this is going to be my final attempt to try to get these partials out. I say, if I can't get them out, I'm going to have to go to the hospital. At this time, I wasn't even talking because they were dangling. They was halfway out, but they was stuck on my real teeth. They was dangling like she had put some super glue on there. I don't know what type of glue she used. So I'm standing in the mirror. I take my head and I'm like, count, and I pull them out. When I pull them out, she's like, oh my God, let me see. She's so nervous. I was nervous. My sister looking like, I don't know if she done pull her teeth out. What done happened?
One girl actually.
I'm sorry, I would have stopped him right there. Like, you ain't putting no glue. If I'm looking up, if I'm sitting and I'm looking
smelling glue,
I'm asking you, what are you doing?
See,
where's your license? Teeth are very important. I just would not let anybody near my mouth that does not have the credentials. If I ain't doing no background check, I didn't see where you graduated from, where you went to dentistry school. I need to see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's your health. Your teeth are a part of your health, right? So if you want a good doctor, you go into a doctor, you want to check, make sure they good. You got to do the same thing for the dentist.
Exactly.
Or if you want to get veneers, you not check behind that.
Yeah, that's something serious, and it's a lot of money to keep it up. With these luxury stuff, you got these luxury items. It takes money to keep it up, especially you got these luxury enhancements on your body. That's the same thing. Like I said, if someone wants implants, that doesn't last in your body for years. It lasts for a couple of years, but I don't think it goes past.
Depending on the doctor and how well they did, it may last for 10,
15. But on top of that, there's a lot of women that develop major health issues from just the implant being in their body. It's a foreign object. So with that being done by doctors in the right way, when you go into the wrong direction, you're going to experience more problems. Okay, anything you do in the wrong direction, you're going to wind up having a lot of issues. And it goes from, I know before this, it was the BBL things, people were getting the BBLs done at somebody's house, or going to another country, it was being botched, or so now
the butt injections. Like before the BBL craze, it was the butt injections.
Yes,
and they were getting all type of stuff injected, and it was like and so I think my thing is, if you can have complications from a doctor or a dentist that actually went to school for this stuff. And you can still have complications. Why would you go to somebody with no experience, no training, no degree, none of it?
None of that.
You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't really make any sense to me. Now, I get the point of veneers. Regular veneers are very expensive.
Yeah.
To get the full mouth done. I understand that. I understand people may not have that amount of money, so they're saying, oh, well, I can get this done for $3,000 to $5,000 instead of like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Help me, I'm poor.
I understand that, but again, it's something like this is very important when it comes to your health and your teeth and stuff. If you can't afford it at that time, maybe it's not the right time for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now, not only did you try to cut corners by going to him, but now you're spending more money because you got to correct everything that he messed up.
Yeah. And that just goes to show the beauty industry is $1 billion industry. And like I said, not only that, the vanity behind it, so the dark side of it too as well, is still in the billions. So even if you do improper work or pick places that, specialize in these type of procedures, people's aesthetic, people put a lot in time to look at how they naturally look. Okay, they want to work on certain things, or they want to go about having certain aesthetics for for their body. And we sort of downplay it like, that ain't that big of a deal. Some people do that, but it's a lot of people who believe it's a big deal. So they're going to go past their natural intuition, okay, and get so obsessed with, the visual. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you just have a desire where it's like, you're putting your own self in a spell, so to speak, where you're like, okay, I want this to be well. I want this to go the right way. But you're blinded by a lot of the things that's writing on the wall, okay? Because I know from the young lady, not from, he didn't have this client, but there was one veneer tech. I think her name was a fairy godmother veneer tech. She had the glue, and she had,
fairy godmother.
The fairy, right, fairy godmother hell. Had the glue, had the the Amazon chair, and then you in the dental chair, it's going on to like 10 o'clock at night and stuff like that or whatever. If you come back, had them in her mouth for like a day, had to literally pull the veneers out of her mouth herself. That's how it was bound to her mouth, and I believe she still had 8 remaining veneers that were still glued to her, teeth. And a lot of she made mention in the video saying that a lot of dentists will not touch this because they're like, I'm not touching this out of liability. Like, this is way too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even gonna take that risk. Get in a situation where you're not allowing yourself to really look at what's behind the veil. And I think that with looking at this case, we've seen that a lot of people were not only was this on his side, okay, Brandon's side when it came down to misleading people, but also, like I said, a lot of delusion for people who are going into these procedures and not really, allowing their mindset, their need for that, validation, okay? Because we got to be real here. It's all about a lot of social media stuff. Is a lot of social media validation because you got so many people who are on those sites that are posting pictures with those veneer techs. So it's all about now I'm appealing, or I'm becoming more of I'm investing in my body. I'm doing this in the proper way. Well, when you do it in the proper way, you make sure that you're following right doctors or right people in that field who can put you in the right direction. That's one thing. But when you're doing it in a way where it's like you're not being aware as far as what's going on, and it's sort of like you're approaching your upkeep or your beauty regimens like a toxic attachment that you have going on, that could be a problematic situation.
Yeah, I agree. And so I think, just to kind of wrap everything up, I just think that when it comes to, trying to live in this fast-paced world or fast success, you have to make sure that you know exactly what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And take your time with it, because nothing comes easy and nothing really successful comes quick. Not 1 to 2 years or 48 hours quick. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to learning stuff like that, I mean, it's unfortunate. He was scamming. A lot of folks are scammers. We just gonna keep it real. A lot of folks are scammers, and you just gotta hope that you don't get caught up in it. But I feel like you have to also do your own due diligence, do your research, and not get caught up in just the social media aspect or the flashy aspect of, oh, look how many followers he has. Look at the money he's making. Look at the Chanel purses. Look at the cars. Look at this. He's successful. Well, yeah, sort of, kind of. He was successful, but he was doing it in a fraudulent way.
Okay.
And so if you kind of just pay attention to what's really going on, a quick Google search would tell you that a veneer tech specialist is not a legit thing. It's not real. At
all. The first thing you see pop up is like, warning, do not do it. But like I said, vanity can have you do a lot of things, that you are not making logical decisions with at all, Like JL was saying, you guys got to make sure that you do your research, okay? Make sure that you're not just being easily led into situations that are just geared towards social media to get you to have that eye on a product or eye on a service, and it's sort of like, look a little bit crazy. Yeah, you got to use your mindset. You got to use your intuition to know, okay, you know what? If it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck, okay? Right. And this situation was definitely a duck situation, okay? Because he quacking slowly but surely into a jail cell, especially with all these allegations, so it's
real quick. Unfortunately,
it's looking that way.
You really hate to see it, but everything that glitters ain't gold, and I think that's a tale as old as time. Everything that glitters is not gold.
Well, kids, we've all had fun here today, haven't we? But remember, dental hygiene is serious business. You should see your dentist at least once a year.
That's right. And remember, dentists are your friends. And if you neglect your friends, you could be in major pain. Isn't that right, Major Glory?
Right! Okay. So let's be smart, y'all. Okay, keep your teeth. Just smile real nice, okay? And make sure when you come to Atlanta, okay, read the Yelp reviews.
Please do. And understand there's no such thing as a veneer
tech.
Veneer tech. There's no such thing.
All right.
An actual dentist, y'all.
All right. Till next time, y'all.